Two kids get into a fight at school. One dad says, "Good, boys need to learn to stand up for themselves, work it out." The other dad says, "This is unacceptable. Violence is never the answer." So, which dad is right? Here's the thing. You're asking the wrong question. And the reason you're asking the wrong question is the same reason most of us feel like we're failing as dads. We're obsessed with being good instead of being real. I spent years trying to be a good dad. Good dads don't lose their temper. Good dads always have the right answer. Good dads know exactly what to do in every situation. And I was exhausted. Because good kept changing depending on who was watching. At my parents' house, good meant letting the kids be loud and wild. Boys will be boys. At my in-laws, good meant structured, calm, controlled. We don't raise our voices in this house. Online, good meant organic snacks, no screens, and never raising your voice. At work, good meant providing, grinding, sacrificing presence for the paycheck. I wasn't being a dad. I was performing good for different audiences. And here's what I realized. Good and bad are just stories we tell ourselves to avoid the harder work of being human. Back to those two kids in a fight. Dad number one sees it as boys learn boundaries through physical conflict. It's natural. It's how they figure out strength and respect. Dad number two sees it as violence teaches violence. My kid needs to learn emotional regulation and conflict resolution. Both of these dads love their kids. Both are trying to raise strong, capable young men. Both have good reasons for their beliefs. So who's right? The answer is, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you believe and why. Dad number one might have grown up fighting his way through childhood and it taught him resilience. Dad number two might have grown up in violence and trauma and vowed his kids would never experience that. Neither is wrong. Both are human. Both are bringing their scars, their stories, and their values to the table. The problem isn't the fight. The problem is when we pretend there's a universal right answer and shame ourselves or other dads for not following it. Here's what we're really afraid of. We're afraid that if we let go of good and bad, we'll lose our moral compass. We're afraid that if we admit we don't have all the answers, we'll fail our kids. We're afraid that being human, messy, contradictory, imperfect means we're not enough. But your kids don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be present, honest, and grounded in your own values. They need to see you wrestle with hard questions. They need to see you admit when you don't know. They need to see you make mistakes and how you handle them. That's not being a good dad or a bad dad. That's being a real dad, and real is what they'll remember. So what do you do when you're faced with a situation like this, when your kid gets in a fight, or lies, or fails, or does something that makes you question everything? Stop asking, what would a good dad do? Start asking, what do I actually believe here, and why? Maybe you believe fighting is part of growing up because you learned important lessons that way. Maybe you believe in nonviolence because you know the cost of aggression. Both can be true. Both can be human. What matters is that you're clear with yourself and with your kid about what you value and why, not what Instagram says, not what your parents think, not what the other dads at school would do. What do you believe, and can you explain it to your kid in a way that's real? That's the work. That's presence. That's being the dad they need. Look, I don't have all the answers. I've gotten it wrong more times than I can count. I've been too strict, too permissive, too worried about what other people think. But what I've learned is this: your kids don't need a perfect dad. They need a present one. They need to see you as a human, someone who thinks, struggles, questions, and shows up anyway. Good and bad are distractions. The real question is, are you being true to yourself? And are you showing your kids how to do the same? That's the only compass that matters. If this hit you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. What situations make you question whether you're doing this right? Where do you feel the pressure to be good instead of real? You're not broken. You're buried, and we're digging out together. See you in the next one.
Hey guys, Rob Lassa here. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the content. If anything resonates or you know of anyone who could benefit from this, please click like, subscribe, send it to them. We're trying to reach as many dads as possible. This is a mission that I feel is super important. So appreciate all your support, appreciate all the love, and hang loose.